And that's what
Recording.
Hey, everybody, we're going to start the City of Kingston Planning Board meeting. Just so everybody is aware, we are live streaming the meeting and also it is being recorded. So welcome, my name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the Planning Director for the City of Kingston. This is the City of Kingston Planning Board meeting. Today is September 16th, 2024. I just have a couple of quick announcements and then we will begin the meeting. I just want to ask everyone please to silence your cell phones so that they do not interrupt our meeting. I appreciate that. If you do have any conversations outside of those with the planning board, we just ask that you take them outside of this room. The chambers are being used for another meeting right now, so just be respectful of that, please. But there is a conference room on the other side of the chambers that you can use for conversations. Bathrooms also are located on the other side of the chambers. Again, please be respectful of the meeting that is going on in there. If we do have an emergency, I do ask that you do not use the elevator, just take the stairs. If you need assistance, just please ask for help and we'll be more than happy to help you out of the building. With that said, again, my name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the Planning Director. Our chairperson is going to be late this evening, so I'm going to start the meeting at 6:05 p.m. I'm going to introduce Kyla Dide, who is the assistant planner, and I'm also going to introduce Matt Jankowski, who is our corporation counsel, and I saw Sarah Pasty, who is our council liaison. And I'm going to go around the table and ask the board members to introduce themselves. Chuck, I'm going to start with you.
Charles Blanco.
Kyra Gruntig, Sage Newkirk,
Vince Searcher.
Andrew Harris.
Okay, board members, Robert Jacobson and Matt Gillis are absent and excused this evening. So we're going to start, item number 1 is just to approve the minutes of the July 22nd, 2024 Planning Board meeting. I'm going to ask everybody if they reviewed them, and if you have any comments or changes that you would like to offer. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call for a motion from a member to approve. Okay, Chuck has motion. Do I have a second? Vince, second. Any discussion? Okay, I'm going to call the roll. Chuck?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Sage?
yes.
Kira?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to move then, we're just going to make one slight adjustment on tonight's agenda. Mike Moriello, who represents the Kingstonian, has asked just to speak briefly to the board first on the extension request. He has another commitment out of town, so we've agreed to allow him to speak. He will speak for a few minutes and then, but we will not take any action on that matter until we get to that on our agenda. So just allowing him to speak and then be off. So Mike,
Thank Good evening to the board members. I'm Michael Moriello, the attorney for Kingstonian Development Group. As the board knows, the Kingstonian was approved roughly 2 years ago. There has been no development on the site as of today. Their 2-year time period will time out in October 17th. So we've come before the board with a request for a 1-year extension of that approval. The way that 405-26E1 reads is that you can go for a 1-year extension and then come back if for extenuating circumstances and shown again and get another extension. We have detailed, put Exhibit A as the resolution that approved the project. Exhibit B is my letter to the board, explaining the circumstances, the amount of litigation that we've had, and some of the challenges that we've had to bring it forward. So I just wanted to ask the board if they would please grant this request for the 1 year, and that's what we're looking for. It's a type 2 action under seeker, which Sue pointed out in her draft. So
Thank you, Mike.
I thank you guys. I gotta get down to Marlboro for another meeting, but thank you very much.
Okay, so we are going to now move on to our public hearings. Item number 2 on the agenda is 337 and 343 Clifton Avenue. It's a lot line revision of lands of David Rao and Alan E. Rao and Alan and Cheryl Rao. SBL 48.74-4-30 and 48.74-4-20. Secret determination, Transect Zone T3L and T3N, Ward 7, David Rao and Alan E. Rao trustees, and Alan and Cheryl Rao applicants and owners. Besides the applicants, is there anyone here wishing to speak to the board on the application? Okay, seeing no one, I'm going to ask the applicants to come to the table.
Good evening. I'm David Brown. I wrote on work on vacation. I made a call last week. They said we were okay as long as I had to be here in case there were any questions.
So Kyla has projected the proposed lot line revision up on the screen behind you.
Yep.
Do you want to just show where the old lot line is and where the new lot line is proposed?
The old lot line is right here. It dissects the end of this shed that my brother has. He's requesting a move of the lot line to follow up along the right of way and then over to our property line over here to give him more room to have that on part of his lot. And that's the basic change.
Okay, it also, the old lot line comes down towards Clifton
Right.
there?
I'm sorry, yeah, right here.
Okay,
I don't know. I know we had to meet with the surveyors again before the 50-foot law from on the street. So that line was moved back to
right,
here
yeah,
so that it would allow the 50-foot access into the property.
okay.
So I do believe that this is coming over a little bit more towards the 331.
Okay. As far as you know, are there any utilities or anything that are being impacted?
No, the utilities for this house is over here. There is nothing going up through the entire land. The only utilities that are for 331 are the water and gas main go up this side of the property. And then there's a water and electric that goes from the street up to the barn here that follows the property line on this side. And then a water line that comes from the house up to the barn also.
Right. So for the board members, it's not actually involved in this revision, but there is now an easement being identified across that lower lot of David that's shown on the plan to provide for those utilities to the rear. Right. Any questions from the board? No? Okay, so this is a type 2 action under seeker, part 617.5C16. So there's no seeker review, environmental review required. I'm going to ask for a motion from somebody from the board to approve the lot line as a lot line revision as presented with board policy 6. And bear with me, and submission of all of the required paper copies and resultant parcel description for signature by the board. And I have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Sage. Is there a second? Second by Chuck. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call the roll. Chuck?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Sage?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Okay. Well set.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is item number 3, 51 Ravine Street and 52 to 54 German Street. This also is a lot line deletion of lands of Alan Golguski, SBL 56.42-15-9. Secret determination, Zone T4N, Ward 8. Alan Golguski is the applicant and the owner. Besides the applicant, is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this application? Okay, seeing no one, I do know that Alan will not be here tonight. So just to explain this to you, this is a lot line revision or deletion. This is one parcel here. This is a second parcel here. This has a house and this has a shop and some sheds on it. The proposal is to remove this lot line here and make this all one parcel. In speaking with Alan earlier today, the intent is really just for paperwork and accounting purposes. It meets the code, so there really is no other reason not to. I don't know if the board has any questions on this? Okay, hearing none, I'll recognize this also as a type 2 action under seeker under part 617.5C16. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the lot line deletion as presented with board policy 6. And also with the appropriate number of paper and Mylar copies to be submitted with signatures for the chairman's signature and resultant parcel description. Is there a motion? Vince makes a motion. Is there a second? Okay, thank you, Andrew. So we have a motion and a second. Any question? Okay, I'll call the roll. Chuck?
Yes.
All right, Vince?
Yes.
Sage?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Motion carried. Okay. So moving right along, we have 615 Broadway and 35 Cedar, item number 4. It's site plan major waiver request to construct a mixed-use building with the ground floor commercial and 70 residential units, SBL 56.109-3-16 and 56.109-3-42, secret determination, transect zone T5MS and T5N, Ward 4, Baxter Development Company LLC applicant, and City of Kingston and Salvation Army are the owners. I'm going to combine this public hearing with the next one on the agenda, which is also a public hearing, and that is for the lot line revision between those two parcels. Okay, so that would be item number 5, 615 Broadway and 35 Cedar Street, lot line revision of lands of City of Kingston and Salvation Army, SBLs 56109-3-16 and 56109-3-42, secret determination, transect zone T5MS and T5N, Ward 4, Baxter Development Company, LLC applicant, and City of Kingston for Salvation Army owners. So before we just take public comment, we have asked the applicant, Natalie is here to represent the applicant, just to speak for about 5-10 minutes to give a brief presentation and just give an overview of what changes have been made since the board has seen this last. This is a formal presentation this evening. You've seen this before as discussion only, informally. So Natalie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, I think I just need to be enabled to share my screen.
You know what? I am make you co-host.
Ooh, official.
There we go. Now you should have permission.
Okay, yeah. So I will try and keep this short, because I think you guys have seen this, but I do feel like it's always helpful to go back over these before a public hearing, and specifically want to focus on some updates that we've done since the board last saw this. So this is all still the same, and it's a lot of what Sue kind of just went over in terms of the main parcel that was acquired from the city or is in the process of being acquired from the city is kind of the purple piece, and you'll see a little sliver of that T5N piece, that is the Salvation Army parcel that we are looking to acquire from Salvation Army. There's again focusing in on that piece, and I'll get a little bit more into that because that's part of our lot line subdivision application. All the project information is the same, 70 units, 7,000 square feet of commercial space, and then just that under 4,000 square feet of that community open space that is being preserved, and kind of a upgrade of the deep listening plaza that will be kept on site. Affordability remains the same. According to the city's definitions, 100% of the project is either affordable or workforce. We are proposing 20% at the affordable levels, and the rest of the remaining 80% will be at the workforce level. So that comes into 14 affordable units, 56 workforce units. Here's just a quick run through of the changes. Like I said, we submitted the lot merger or the subdivision application. I'll go through some minor changes to the site plan. Colin should be getting here any minute. He's going to go over the architectural designs. We just got much more detailed with the materials and some of the specifics there. The engineering department now has a full SWIP, or stormwater pollution prevention plan, for the site. And then a few additional pieces as requested by the board or staff at past meetings, some specifications on how the site will be managed during operation, a full zoning compliance memo. We did some parking utilization counts, and then as well as we are requesting 3 waivers that we did look at redesigns and we simply cannot get around them. So we will kind of explain what those waiver requests are and why we feel they're necessary for the project. Lot line adjustment, again, this is the official plan, but I think it's a little bit more helpful to kind of see this diagram, right? So red is the parcel that the city owns. The blue outline here is the piece owned by Salvation Army. So initial conversations with the city, it was decided that we wanted to close this curb cut along Broadway. So we started having conversations with Salvation Army about being able to, here in yellow, do an access driveway, share their driveway. We'll just get a shared easement there, and then acquire the piece in orange to build more parking for our project. Besides that, the major changes to the site plan, 2 big things. I would say EV, we 2 EV spaces, charging stations are required. Zoom in a little bit here. So we have the ability to do 3. We're showing 2 right now. We're doing 1 ADA that is required by code, and the second one is non-ADA EV. We are doing a double charging station here, so if we do see a high demand for EV at this site, we can add an additional EV charging space here. So that has been added and clarified to the plans. And then the remainder of the changes to the site plan are really limited to landscaping. So one of the big changes is that because we have different heights of the building, right? And these front pieces, this is just 3 stories here, and then it comes to 5 stories here. We have to get the water off those roofs onto somewhere in the site we manage, that stormwater runoff, right? And because this is a lower elevation, we created what we thought was a really cool kind of feature piece, focal piece within the listening plaza, that this is now an active stormwater management kind of retention basin. So from this 3-story building and portion of this 5-story, the water will be collected, and kind of this will now be the central green piece of that plaza. We'll also be working, so we can do some signage and informational talking about stormwater management on this site and how that's being managed. So that's kind of the big change. We're also now showing, we're proposing 3 street trees along Broadway. We noticed that on this piece in front of the building, there was no trees on the sidewalk, so we tried to kind of present these in a way that matches with the rest of Broadway here and add those trees. And then within the plan, you can also see we added details on the gate. It is, was discussed in past meetings of having some kind of way to close this off in evening hours or hours when the commercial businesses will not be active. So we did add details in the submission about a kind of default gate that can be added here, and then a 24/7 resident gate that will access these stairs and into this building. So that is it for the major site plan changes, and then again, I'm trying to keep this short, so I'll go quickly and we can kind of come back to anything. Site management memo that talks about general property management, how we're gonna manage trash, and recycling, deliveries, hours of operation for the plaza, so that's now in your submission package. We did a parking utilization study of 2 parking facilities. One is a municipal lot that we anticipate may be used for some of the commercial folks coming to the commercial businesses. And the other, it's just down here, we did an evaluation of Energy Square, which is kind of a comparable project, right? That project is all affordable units. So there is a slight difference, but similar market in terms of who the tenants will be. So we looked at how their parking's being utilized. We can go through this more in more detail, I think, but this information is included in there. I think the thing that was really helpful to see is that Energy Square, which we see as a comparable project, their lot that they built out, where they built more parking than what we're proposing for ours, but their parking facility, we looked at it both on Monday and Saturday morning and evening hours, was never more than 40% full. Their commercial spaces for the commercial businesses were actually quite highly utilized. There was maybe 7 or 11 spaces kind of on their entryway. So that's a good point for us to take away, that we may want to think about dedicating some of the spaces for commercial employees. But the residential portion of the lot was really quite underutilized. And then you have the elevations and changes. We made some material changes, mostly just to reflect requirements in the code in terms of color or kind of having lintels or, the cornice line for this, for the front building facing on Broadway. So we did make some modifications and added some new kind of visuals so that you guys can see the project from multiple sides, from both Cedar, this is a visual looking from Cedar, as well as Broadway. So I think I can stop, we did nighttime as well, so I think we can leave it there, and then if you want to do the public hearing, and then I can go back and give more detail or questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, obviously, everyone, Wade Platt, the chairman, has arrived. So we are going to start the public hearing. We did receive one written comment, which has been posted to the city's website, was circulated to all of the board members, and also it was provided to the applicants so that they had it in advance of the meeting. We do have 2 pre-registered speakers that we're going to start with. Lisa Kelly,
Yeah.
you're first. You want to?
Hi.
So I did submit a letter, which is basically why I wanted to bring a face to the letter. Also, I'm representing not just the Arts Commission as a fellow commissioner of the city, but I'm also the executive director of the Kingston Midtown Arts District, which is based in Energy Square and John Factory. So we have a vested interest in the developments of this particular project. Also, there's a small group of citizens that formed a committee right after the Deep Listening Plaza was dedicated in 2018. And I just wanted to impart their visions and their great gratitude for having dedicated the space to Pauline Oliveris, who I'm also close friends with, and her partner Ione, and worked for them for over 10 years at the Deep Listening Institute. So I've got my own vested interest in meeting with you all and watching the progress of this development. I mean, we have been informed through Bartek, as I said in the letter, about the plans, and we are thrilled that they're going to maintain public access. But one piece of the plan so far doesn't really address maintenance and care in perpetuity. depending on how the transfer of ownership happens, really, there's a lot of voices that really want to see this maintained as a community public access space, and particularly a green space, which is very, very vital in Midtown. And also visually accessible from Broadway, as there's many businesses that utilize that space currently. So that's really the bulk of it, aside from the fact that it is a small park and may not be known, that people really value it, and I just want that to be my voice to amplify that. That's all. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, we have another speaker that was pre-registered, Richard Brumis.
Hi, I've been, like Lisa, involved in this in some way or another, not as deeply as she, but as both a member of the Kingston Arts Commission and the Midtown Arts District. And I was around when this was first talked about in 2017 and then commemorated in 2018. And before that was the King's Inn, that disaster there. And the idea was always that, you know, the hope was always that this could somehow be used as an art space. I remember the very modest establishment of the commemoration of the Paulina Oliveros deep listening space on that spot. It was in 2018. It was really just a very small space with a sign, and it was meant, I think, to be a marker for the establishment of a performance and reflecting venue that signified Pauline's historic contribution to the concept of sound. The Kingston Arts Commission and the Midtown Arts District were initial supporters, and it's wonderful to see that this idea has continued largely through the unflagging efforts of Lisa Kelly and Ione and the promise that it holds. When we talk about Kingston being an arts town, we talk about what makes it culturally rich, what makes it more vibrant, a livable space and a visible space. But we also have to talk about the giants like Paulina Oliveros, who helped make it that way, and how to build on their legacies. Pauline's legacy has much to do with the concept of space and its use as a container of sound and introspection. Its prominent location on Broadway makes it an ideal focal point for the arts, and has been that have been coalescing around the Midtown area. It's almost becoming a campus with the Midtown Arts District, with UPAC, with but also integrating it with the Baxter Project, adjacent to housing and businesses, makes it accessible to the activities of everyday life, which is important. We're surrounded so much by visual public art, murals, etc. We need a balance of public spaces for performance and recreation as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burvis.
There's nobody up here to so you want to see the audience win.
Yeah, anybody else in the audience wishing to speak on 615 Broadway and 35 Cedar Street? Okay.
Okay. Did you want to say, oh, you just waving?
I was just, yes,
Yeah.
I was just waving because I thought the previous speaker spoke so well that I didn't need to add anything else.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So.
so, do you guys want to come back up, join us?
Sorry. Okay.
We covered it, it's like all the arts.
Sure, you're in good hands.
So Natalie had, we just so you know, that Natalie had started off before the public hearing and given a brief overview. Colin did not arrive for that, so I don't know, Colin, if you want to kind of continue how you guys want to work it. You said that Colin would do a lot of the architecture
Sure.
discussion, so.
Did you go into that?
I did not at all.
Good.
So you can start there.
So,
We added the beautiful mobile station, that was our question for the last meeting.
so you're all familiar with this project, I'll just focus on the updates that have happened since our last meeting, based on comments that we've received and just general development of the project. More of the context, has been included, including the mobile station. There's been a lot of talk about this, facade facing the mobile station, roughly the west facade. We're still planning on having it be part of the public arts program and some sort of wall mural. These are our just placeholders for now. These are patterns for garments, referencing back to all the garment manufacturing that was happening in the area. But hopefully an artist could take something and do something a lot more impactful than this. But the idea here is that these large facades facing the west would be a great opportunity for that arts installation or art program. When we go to the next slide, what we're just calling the Broadway building, the updates from the last time we met were we updated the brick into more of a taupey grayish brick to help. One, it's still a brick that works well with the context of Broadway, but wanted to differentiate it a bit from the other buildings around, and also referencing a lot of the other buildings on Broadway and in the Midtown District are painted brick. So brick is definitely a material that actually has a long history, as we all know, but just differentiating a bit from its neighbors. The other thing that we have done that maybe wasn't necessarily the last meeting was we aligned the ground floor of this building to this landmarked historic building adjacent. This is an all wood surround wood first floor with an aluminum storefront system within it. The other thing we have updated is the security gate. Excuse me, designed the security gate system here along Broadway. This is the main entry into the Arts Plaza beyond. So it would be open during operating hours of the businesses beyond, closed on all other hours with tenant access here via key code or some sort of secure access, so they can get into the plaza to access the buildings beyond for their apartments or up the stairs for the apartments here.
If I could just interrupt you real quick, I mean, that gate, that system is proposed to be a metal mesh type of material.
Yeah.
Do you have like do you have any examples, like real life examples? I'm trying to really visualize what that could be. It's not a reflective material, I'm presuming.
No,
right? It's more of a matte.
spec in our package. Maybe we didn't. So what we're imagining is what's called a welded wire mesh or a welded wire fence. So it would have a steel frame, as you're seeing, that's these rectangles, and then there would be a welded wire infill panel, which is just very thin vertical steel thick wires.
So would it be able to see through? I mean,
Yes,
is there a
yes, you
potential
definitely
to
be-
see? Is there?
Visibility is key. We want to maintain
Okay.
visibility, both
Right.
in terms of, so it looks interesting to people to enter, and also for security reasons. We don't want to block anything off. This is just for safety issues after hours. But yeah, visibility is key. It's the same material that we're using for the handrails up above as well. And you'll see on the back side of the building, we have an updated rendering. That's the same material on the back. I think that'll give you a better sense. But it's a very standard security fencing system that you see all around. I'm sure there's many examples here. We should find some and show them to you. But it's an affordable, I think, quite elegant security fence because it's very thin and it doesn't break the bank.
Okay,
And so,
go ahead, no.
I just wanted to point to why we're talking about this, that this is one of the waiver requests, right? There is a requirement that the building facade occupy a minimum of 90% of your front building line.
Yeah.
Right?
All the way.
And so when we were first doing concept reviews of this with the mayor and Bartek and then the arts committee, we originally did have the plaza kind of up in the front and the building back, which made zero frontage, right, or a very small frontage. So we have kind of come away from that and obviously moved the building up front. And I think what we're trying to hit and within the waiver narrative we're requesting, right, is trying to keep this space big enough so that you can see and feel like it's a space that you're supposed to walk into, right? That it's not kind of like a hidden alleyway or something private. So trying to keep it wide enough that we can do landscaping, that we can do lighting, that we can do things like that, that makes it still feel like it is prominent on Broadway while respecting the code's requirement to have as much frontage occupancy as possible. So I think that's the balance that we're trying to hit, and we feel like the really unique circumstance of this and the request for that waiver is because of the plaza.
And just a couple of thoughts, we were, and again, it comes back to trying to visualize this fence, and I'm trying to get in my
We have
head.
other
So
images maybe in the
If
evening.
you do have something that you can share, that would be great.
Yeah.
Would you think about, or have you thought about putting that gate back further, or do you absolutely want it right at the sidewalk?
That's a great question, and we've gone back and forth on that
Okay.
as a design team. And the answer is we have placed it here at the sidewalk line, specifically, again, for safety reasons. If it was pushed back, then somebody could kind of hang out around the corner. We do want to, again, tonight, we want to make it as inviting and open as possible,
Okay.
and it will be open. You can see, it's a kind of a bifold system during operating hours, but visibility throughout. But if it was pushed back, it kind of creates a little bit of a recess, of an alcove, and that gives opportunity for people to hang out, for people to loiter, for people to sleep, and so we wanted to actually have it off that line. But the visibility as well, I know we've talked previously here about the plantings here, and we intentionally still do have a large tree here at the corner. We didn't want to block that. One of the this is probably TMI, but at one point we had it back just internally to help really showcase these plantings here, so you can
Right.
see them down the street. But then it just kind of came back to safety. I mean, you see some of the empty, kind of recessed storefronts here and people just hanging out in there. It just felt like it made sense to just.
Because another issue had come up with the access, with the staircase access. In the code, it does say that all of the units have to be accessed from the sidewalk area.
Mhm.
And we're still talking internally whether that staircase actually conforms to that requirement, or if it should be within the building
Right.
form itself.
Yeah.
And I'm leaning to it should be in the building form.
Mhm.
So that, doing it, revising it that way would increase that percentage of frontage a
Mhm.
little bit. But I also, on the other hand, need to work with the fire department to make sure that they have adequate access for their,
Right.
because that's the emergency access. And I know we put the drop down curb there so
Mhm.
that they would have that. But that's something that we're still talking
Yeah.
about internally and we'll be getting to you on. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, and these are all criteria that go into a design problem.
Right,
Access for emergency fire trucks is paramount. That is there. That meets code for that. We've talked this through the fire chief with the east curb. But we did want to make sure that is there. So the exposed stair helps us in that manner. It also helps by not having this internal. It just makes, you're right. If this was in interior to the building, it would increase that percentage, getting closer to 90%. However, this way it makes it more visibly and open and hopefully therefore attractive for people to get back there, even with fire access.
and you're looking at 4 storefronts, right, not 3, correct?
Yeah, there's four.
I somehow had 3 in my head, but,
There's 4 tenants,
Okay.
potentially 4 tenants there on the ground floor. Now, and again, that the storefronts are designed as such
right.
for that. So I mean, see, this is like, yeah, these are the criteria that we're balancing back and forth. We're
Yeah.
right there with you. We wanted visibility. We love this idea of the plantings here that you can see up and down the street, especially this tall tree here that might, work well with the street trees that will be going in. We wanted a sign piece, a prominent sign piece that we're taking inspiration from the WKNY radio piece that we love. We love that sign at the radio station.
I'm glad you brought that issue up too, because the new code would not allow that.
I know.
Yeah, so.
Because I really think anyway. I mean, but we want, it's again, it's part of the house. How do you attract people, get people back in there, but maintain your 90%? It's a weird shaped, we all know that the lot, this 2-acre lot doesn't meet the zone,
Okay.
right? So we're already in a non-conforming issue, and how do we try to balance all that
Right.
stuff? But these are the issues that we're toying around with and what we've put down on paper thus far.
With that proposed fence, I mean, it's tough for me to see visually what that, can you, next meeting, provide more details on what that type is?
Did you all get the full architectural set?
Yeah, maybe, I mean, what I think what.
The color.
If there's an actual example that you can take a photograph of that,
Yeah.
of where this might, a similar type of.
Oh, yeah, it's,
Might be.
for sure. I mean, it's all over the place, for sure.
Okay, I mean, that might be.
You provided specs for that, I guess it didn't make the notes.
And the 8-foot height was chosen because,
What's that?
8-foot height of that was chosen.
8-foot height has been proven throughout all of building industry to be a great height for manageability, but for security. That's why we have 4x8 everything, is because 8 feet is, yes, people can grab and climb over, but it's not. That's literally a security dimension that has been defined.
Okay, but I know Robert, who's not going to tonight, had spoken before about security on that interior space. He
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
concerned about that, so,
Yeah, so when it's closed, the tenants, this is you can see it here. This is a single swing access panel for the tenants, so they can still access the apartments. And then when it's closed, the tenants behind can still access that, so that's.
and there's another set of stairs at the other end of the building, but that is not going to have access out the front.
Yes, that
The
exits
other
straight.
end will too,
Yeah,
similar.
yeah, very similar situation. It's in here, you can't really see it on that drawing.
Is there one?
It might be one
It would be in
ones
the
looking down.
elevation.
Yeah, or
But
looking
you
down.
can kind of see it.
Yeah, this is the exit, the exit here. So this is a gate here. You can kind of see it swung open. So that's the.
So the gate is not, is the gate
behind it.
swinging out to the mobile, or is the,
It's-
okay,
You
right,
can kind of see the arc here.
okay,
So it's, yes, so when it's closed, it's there and then it swings open.
okay, I got you.
We couldn't swing it open that way because then it would actually be on
Right, that's what I
neighbor's
was
property.
curious.
That's specifically why it's positioned in that.
That's over by the mobile property?
Yep. Mhm. And we're imagining that would be just egress at this point, so just a push button egress, but that would not be where the tenants would be using that for.
And this is the only side of the property that will have a gate? Is
Correct.
if you come in from the other side?
Correct, it's designed in such that the plaza is protected already from from the neighboring building, from the new buildings. So this is the only area of the gate.
But like Martin's Lane is not gonna be gated and you're not.
At this point, we're not proposing it.
Or anything from the driving won't be prohibited,
No.
okay.
You can't access the plaza from those. If you go to the site plan, like, yeah, here's Martin's Lane. This is the pedestrian access here past the Salvation Army.
Mhm.
Right, that door there, that's an access door into the lobby for the tenants here. But because of this new building that we're building here and the neighboring building, you can't actually get into the plaza.
See it on the screen here, so this is
Yeah.
kind of Martin's Lane.
So this is Martin Lane coming in, that's the door into the lobby.
So there is security then from that end?
Yeah, this is a key card entry
Okay.
for the tenants, yeah. And then as we were saying before, the tenants above here this is their access up this stair. If you live here, you can access it through this access here into the building lobby, and this is the elevator core up to.
I have a question about the hours of the gate. You've mentioned that it's tied to the business
Mhm.
operating hours. I mean, what if there's hypothetically, businesses that none of them are open on Sunday morning, does that just mean the gate is closed on Sunday mornings? Or,
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna have to be worked out. So I think there's a few pieces that come into that, the management memo, right? I think we would, where we can, we definitely don't want to have the gate closed whenever there's a business open, right? They're gonna want that access. And then on weekends for the tenants and for people on the streets, I think we would love to keep it open. We imagine the businesses being active every day of the week. That's gonna be the intent of trying to get kind of either retailers or art-based districts or, you know, small offices or things like that in this space will be the intent that it's active 7 days a week. But if not, we are, in the management memo, there's also the idea we could have an on-site manager if that becomes necessary, where they would be an on-site tenant building manager. And in that case, they would be the ones responsible for opening the gates on Sundays.
Is this a topic brought up with your discussions with the city about access to it on the weekends? Is that part of your ongoing discussions with the city?
Yeah, I mean, right now, the specifics of the sale and the management of the public space, I think, and this comes back to some of the public comments, have not been ironed out, right? The idea is that, so that would, I can.
But that is a topic though?
Oh, yeah, of making this very much, retaining this as public space, privately managed public space. But the specifics of hours of operation and days has kind of been left to, so far, it has been left open, so I think we can definitely.
So do
worth
you
discussing.
see this public space as being, I mean, it's open public space, but focused on the businesses that are there? Or do you see maybe outside entities maybe coming in and doing, you know, small performances or even an outside art exhibit or things
Yeah.
of that, working like with that? Do you see that happening also?
That is always the desire for public
100%.
spaces like this. As much as we could get community organizations who want to be programming this space, who want to be doing regular schedules of exhibits or after hours, hangout sessions, you know, we don't want this space to be just for the businesses that line it. We want the businesses that line it to be kind of support in activating it and keeping it active and utilized. But there will definitely be seats in here. I think it's gonna be key for this design. There'll be seats in here that you should not feel like you have to be at one of these businesses to be able to sit there, right? You see those spaces sometimes where people are like, are they public? Are they private? Can I sit there? So I think creating some of the spaces, especially around the green space, so that there is a chair or a bench, that looks like you could just come in, but as much as
It helps
possible.
too, like the furniture is not permanent, it's
Movable,
fixed, it's
yeah,
movable.
William White, everyone, you know.
I mean, so there's
Art
opportunity there for
but-
sculpture or, temporary kind of things like that as
Exactly.
well.
And we're also playing around with, and again, this will come into the space, the green space has to be a certain size based on our stormwater pollution prevention plan.
Yeah.
'Cause it has to take in so much water, so it has to be so much square feet. So the size is set, but the shape is not. So we're also playing around with the idea of how we can make it a little bit more maybe bean shaped, or so that there's kind of nooks in there that you can also have a bench that someone could sit. Have different kind of moments kind of sitting around this green space, but there's no signed agreement right now with any organizations to help run it, but that is definitely a priority because those are the most successful privately owned spaces
Okay.
when there's entities managing and programming them, for sure.
Is there, or have you discussed, or is it even an option to have a public restroom?
We have not discussed that, but I think that's a good conversation to have. I don't think
That's never come up in conversations.
Yeah.
That's a dicey.
It is.
Yeah,
To be
However,
open probably when the plaza is open?
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
because what you're gonna have is you're gonna have this beautiful green space that public is encouraged to
Yeah.
come to. And then what's gonna happen is if you don't have a solution for a public restroom, they're gonna rely on the local businesses that are in your retail spaces. And I know downtown we see that a lot. And so it is something that has to be at least acknowledged because it is a big part of being welcoming in a community area, given the nature of the property. I think it would send a pretty large message that is a welcoming platform for exactly what you all are just describing and what people connected to this property feel is like, what it represents.
That's a good point.
And since you are going to be having some sort of like gate, you wouldn't have to worry about managing it after hours. And if your residents, do they have access to this after hours? So if they're out and they're enjoying it with their families, it would also be an added benefit to them too.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons of managing that kind of space, but it's worth discussing. It hasn't come up, it hasn't been discussed, so. Appreciate the comment.
Good point, then.
Yeah.
Good point.
So continue on.
Yeah.
Are there any other dimensions?
So yeah, why don't we, but yeah, just the idea that sign is obviously, again, high visibility to draw attention that I know just from my experience that the tenants in the courtyard will really push for something like that. It's very clear that, hey, come on back. But inside, why don't we just go inside the courtyard where we just were?
Before you go back, can you go to the front face? So just, you had added, one of the things we asked you to add was lintels and sills to the windows.
Yeah, this is
See there?
This is the nighttime view, but yes, there.
And then the parapet, which it looks like it's varying, it's brick that's gonna be staggered, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then the perpendicular lines, what are they?
So those are bricks that's also recommended in the zoning to break down the mass of larger.
So is that gonna be a brick or is it just a plain with?
It's a reveal.
Color variation?
No, it's a reveal. You can kind of see the notch at the top. It's an actual
Okay, so
reveal.
it's a natural, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to know, thank you.
Inside the courtyard, this is similar to before. The biggest difference is this building has just been developed. It's the same size, same height, but just working with a hardy plank material, which is economical for the client, but doing it in a rich color as well. And then this tenant here, we're just calling it tenant number one, used to have a pitched roof. It now has a single pitch, a parapet top and a pitched roof. On this slopes to the back towards the water retention, the stormwater retention system that's back in the parking lot. So that was a move for the stormwater management. Lightening up the storefront here for better visibility as you enter. This is actually where you're actually kind of entering the plaza. So this is the first view you would see as you're coming in. Again, a large mural on Tower 2 that you can see at the back of the entry that would be part of a local artist, hopefully.
Is this your color scheme, like, or is this just kind of like examples of like?
Right now, this is our color scheme. Yeah, this is what we're.
I think it does, I think it uplifts the property a lot. I think that prior to, it looked kind of, I mean, it's a large property, which you need if you're gonna be offering that amount of housing to people. But there's something about the colors and the use of the different colors, it makes it, I mean, it's gonna be a modern property, but it's also an upgrade for the neighborhood, without being an eyesore that's so modern and it doesn't feel like it fits.
Nice. I mean, that's definitely the intention. It's a large property, a lot of square footage, but we, as you can tell, we've broken it down into 4 main buildings to try to break down that scale.
Yeah.
Wrapping the courtyard, and each building is treated, even though can you go back to the other image we were just looking at? These 2 buildings are essentially one building with a shared core. We're obviously rendering them as 2 very distinct separate buildings, that again, to help break down that scale.
But it is all it's all one connected structure.
Yeah, all of these are connected with the same stairwell, same elevators, but it just helps break it down to that exactly.
With respect to the murals on that mobile side, do you have a maintenance agreement in place, or you're pursuing one with the mobile side to take care of, you want to change the mural, or you gotta repaint? Where are you with that? Do you have something in place for that?
No, I mean, it would probably be, I haven't engaged in the public arts program that Mathos has been considering for these facades, but it would be those similar agreements, so, none of the murals, I think as Colin pointed out, have been commissioned, these aren't, but, we would need access to that side of the building, but in the same way that we would need access to.
Yeah, I mean, access not only to put them on, but also for ongoing maintenance. And
Doesn't the city of Kingston have a board, an arts commission board?
Yeah.
So has there been any like dialogue on that level? Like, I know you guys have been here like for a few meetings now, and from the very beginning, you have expressed the interest in including and preserving, what a lot of people in the public are hoping to see, like hoping and, I think that that's what's really difficult here is like, I think that this like, fingers crossed, we hope it's gonna represent this. I think that it maybe would say a lot about the project if there was some sort of like communication between the two at some point. I don't know if this is like too early in the project, that's something, of course, you would maybe entertain down the road, but I think it would kind of like,
Well, we've had 2 meetings already with not just the Arts Commission, but different entities within the arts community in the Midtown District. So through the initial concept design, I think that conversation is still ongoing in terms of the execution of these agreements, but through Bartek and the mayor's office.
Yeah.
That was part of the,
I would assume.
initially with the RFP, there was an initial meeting, and then before coming to the planning board, there was a second meeting. So the conversation still is ongoing, but the mayor's office has been helping kind of coordinate that. And talk about retention of the space, retention of the name of the space, signage of the space. We even talked a little bit about how the space could be used. I think we're still thinking about, I maybe mentioned this at one of the first meetings, there was a comment from someone about having space to project and do screenings as needed in the area, so still thinking about how to incorporate that.
We put a white screen in there.
I think it's cool.
No, it's a great idea, it's fantastic.
But so the conversation is still ongoing, absolutely. There's no kind of.
I think ultimately that was my question is like, is there a disconnect here or clearly there's not because there's been engagement in that area as well.
Still many more, the how to make these things happen and execute and program and be activated is gonna be a very much ongoing conversation to keep these spaces active. So, started, but, still ongoing.
So, just a little bit of construction, kind of phasing. Have you thought about how this project would be structured for construction purposes? I mean, would you start at the Broadway side, or are you looking at starting in the rear? And obviously, time-wise, what are you thinking? Phases, 1 phase, 2 phase?
I'm not the construction manager, so I can't speak to that in
Okay.
detail, but it's definitely designed in thinking about constructability. And you said to the idea is this would probably be built first. And I'm not talking about multiple phases over many time, that's up to the client. But this,
The site plan, actually. Go ahead.
so this would be built first, Tower 1,
I've traded it.
because of that access, you can get access from here and then obviously from Broadway. And then Tower 2, the foundations to Tower 2 would go in, and then the Broadway building would most likely be the last to be built.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, in terms of obviously construction, traffic, material storage, things of that nature. I would presume that the Cedar Street might be the better option for that traffic to
Sure.
present
Yeah,
itself
that's where the
through.
parking lot is.
But then, if you construct that rear part first, you block really that access off for the construction in the front. So that was kind of,
I can speak to that a little
Broadway is
bit.
a busy street.
Yeah. So the majority of the construction traffic will be coming in on the shared drive and coming and exiting out on Martin's Lane. There will be a few initial vehicles that are too large to exit on Martin's Lane, which is why that was never, we kind of stopped considering that as an access point for the site anyways. So they will have to come in and exit through the shared drive. We will need to maintain the access off of Broadway for the initial portion of construction, so you will be kind of building this, the front, we will need to maintain that, and eventually at the end of the project is when that Broadway entrance will be closed. But again, as much as possible, where we can, vehicles will be accessing the site, and storing materials towards the rear of the site. But as you point out, for this portion, we are going to be accessing for construction from Broadway. So there will be some kind of permits for sidewalk closures and things like that that will need to occur on Broadway for a short period of time. But it is all one phase of project, all intended to be built at one time, obviously over a few months. And I think what we were looking at is 18 to 24 months in terms of construction. I can get you the exact time frame for that.
Can you share with us where your discussions currently are with Salvation Army and?
Yeah, it's the Army. So far, right now, Salvation Army is in the process of we had an appraisal for the property. They require their own appraisals, multiple appraisals, actually, from 2 different entities. So Bartek gave them some recommendations, and from what I understand, they are in the process of getting those appraisals completed, and that is required before we can kind of proceed with the actual easement agreement. I am working on them to get them this letter of authorization. They've seen our site plan submission. Bartek is on all those emails. They know we are in front of the planning board. They are skittish about signing the letter of authorization because they feel like they need the appraisals before they can start signing anything. So
that's going to be a critical component, especially when we're going to be referring to the county.
Yep.
They want to know what's going on with that.
Yep. It's just trying to get the Army comfortable with signing a document and convincing them that this does not sign away their ability to not proceed. We are proceeding, the applicant is proceeding with this at a lot of their own risk and we have good indication, verbal indication from the Salvation Army that they are very open to this idea, that they don't see issues hindering this. It's just gonna be a long process, otherwise we wouldn't be proceeding and spending this money of doing this.
I don't mean to jinx it, but do you expect that to be happening in the next 30 days, do you think, or?
The letter of authorization, yes. The easement, no. The easement agreement will be a long process negotiation with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I only bother them once a week for it because I want to keep them on, and I want to be in their good graces, so I can only bother them so much for that.
Is there anything the planning board can do to assist with you obtaining that letter of authorization?
I think the city's helping us as much as they can, like I said, they're on those emails. I think it's just getting them and their attorneys comfortable with signing this letter of authorization. So, yeah. Yeah.
So the letter of authorization would give green light to the proposed access roads.
It just says that we can proceed at our own risk to come before the planning board with a proposal that is utilizing a portion of their land. We are still
It
operating.
basically authorizes them to make the application on Salvation Army property because it's property that is not owned by the city of Kingston. The city has right now an agreement with them for the Kings Inn parcel,
Mhm.
but the Salvation is privately owned by another party. So it just basically authorizes them to submit a project that involves another property.
And it's really just a requirement by the city, right? We have the verbal agreement from Salvation Army. They know we are from the planning board. But a municipality, right, and you as a board, in considering this application, is going to want to know that Salvation Army knows we're showing their parcel. So the city does know that, right? Like I said, they've been involved in all the conversations. It's just getting them to sign a document. Getting them to sign a piece of paper is much harder than you would think it would be, so. So yeah, I continue, I was just talking to one of the majors today and he kind of said, well, we have to wait till we have the appraisal, and I reminded them again. that this is not the same as the easement agreement. So we will continue to work on that, and I hope to have it in the next few days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also see in my notes here that there are still some outstanding fees that are due to the city for waiver requests.
Yeah, we were just, Sue let me know about those today, we confirmed the amounts, and we'll have that mailed tomorrow. Unless there's any other questions.
Just a couple of points. So this evening, we're gonna be looking for the board to, make a formal referral to the county. We will need that Salvation Army authorization, for us to do so. So as soon as you have that, get that to us. But I think, because the board will not meet again until October, we get that, then we can do the referral to the county planning board with that information. We'll also refer this to the Parks and Rec Commission, for their review. As Natalie had mentioned earlier, the project has been, referred to our city engineer with the SWIP, which is the stormwater. We'd also, like to probably start working out some language, some draft language for all of the easement agreements that will need to get put in place, even though maybe Salvation Army won't be signing on to them right away, but at least if we can start some of that language discussion through our corporation council and your attorneys, that would be, I think, getting a little advanced.
We have a full easement agreement drafted, but
Okay,
obviously
then
the
we'll send
language,
that to our corp council.
I'll have our attorney get in touch with
Yeah.
Port Council.
Okay.
Again, the language of that has to be executed with the surrounding property owners, so we're looking, it'd be a shared easement between Salvation Army, and we are providing access to our
That
neighbors.
was my next
So
question.
the three of us together,
Okay, good.
so we're negotiating between three parties, so we can definitely have our attorney kind of reach out and discuss what's gonna be within that easement, but the
Okay.
specifics of that are being executed with the parties who will be
Great.
within that. But yeah, so we're working, we've been in close contact with 609 to 611 about them being able to kind of retain access to their site. as
Okay,
well.
good. That's good.
Okay, any other issues?
We're gonna continue.
Lisa was wondering if she could say something else, or should she?
What's that now?
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
She spoke at the public
Yes.
hearing too, so she's been.
Just in regards to the design, what is the sunlight and air exposure for the listening plaza? Is it going to allow for sunlight?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Sunlight in the plaza
Yeah.
with all the stories high and
Yeah, if you go to
blocking
the
western
site
light.
plan, that would be, it's,
You want your version of the site?
yeah, I think that'll be fine. This is south. It's designed in this way specifically, and this is a single-story building. So it's designed specifically for as much maximum sunlight as we can. These buildings are all, like, this is to the west, so in the late afternoon, yes, these buildings will cast shadows on the plaza, but for the majority of the day, it's designed so that it's open to the sun. This is a 3-story building, so those are the urban conditions, but yeah.
Any other questions? All right, so before we table, we're gonna have to authorize you're just gonna do that automatically. Before I get carried away, we need to do that as a,
Yeah, we'll do the referral once we have the Salvation Army.
and the associated fees. With it.
Yep.
Okay. So that's gonna occur. Okay. And if it happens in between meetings, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? We're gonna keep the public hearing open.
We're gonna refer to the Parks and Rec as well, and we'll keep working at staff level with the applicants.
And with respect to the keeping the public hearing open, will that be written commentary?
We'll keep it open oral.
Okay, let's do that. Okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we table, are we doing item number 3, or excuse me,
You can, just do this.
3?
You mean item number 5?
Yeah, I got 2 different things going on here, so, we should probably read number 5 of the record too. right?
I did at the beginning.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we, table items number 4 and number 5. Ira does a second on that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
And thank you.
Kara, Lisa Kara,
Yeah.
she wouldn't be eligible.
Oh, okay.
Second, because.
Oh, I thought we had- Chuck had his hand up too, so.
Okay.
give
Okay, it was
Chuck a second on that. With that, do second, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you.
Okay. Hang on a second. Okay, pass those. Dennis has another commitment. He would like to ask if he can
Come on
just
down.
quickly talk about the extension on Golden Hill,
Yes.
so he can move on.
This is item number. Way in the back.
Way in the back. Item number 13.
Dennis Doyle is here, county planner.
Good evening, everybody.
How are you, sir?
Good, thank you, and I want to thank the board for allowing me to go out of order.
And let me just read it to record. This is item number 13, Golden Hill Drive, request for extension of date for installation and operation of the Glen Street Gate, section block and lot is 56.40-1-19.3 under 10. Transect zone is SD-MF, Ward 3, secret determination. Ulster County is the applicant, and Golden Hill HDFC as nominee is the owner. Okay, fire away, sir.
Thank you. Just a little background for members that may not be familiar with the project. This is part of the Golden Hill project, the affordable housing project. When the board approved the Golden Hill fire application, they had a requirement for the county to construct a gate within a specific period of time and have that gate operational. The county has moved diligently forward to try to meet those deadlines. Unfortunately, because of other things that are associated with that gate, we have not been able to. We have provided the board with a proposed schedule from our consultant, from our vendor, which indicates that we should be able to finish the gate by the end of November. The big caveat with that is the fact that we are also awaiting some work that has to be done by Central Hudson. So other than that, we expect the contractor to be on site next week. We have been reviewing all the submittals from that contractor so that to make sure that that's what the lead times were. We had one submittal that may have a little bit longer lead time. We're looking for an alternative to that submittal right now. But the contractor has assured us, and I shared that email, I believe, with Susan today, and I apologize for the lateness of that. But we shared that email, and the contractor has assured us that they can meet that schedule, given the Central Hudson issue associated with any of the material that has to be done with respect to Central Hudson. I can tell you that one of the reasons that we have been delayed have been, quite frankly, an unexpected cost for this gate. This gate is well over $100,000 relative to the gate itself, and that caused some consternation at the county level with respect to that. The county is footing the entire bill for this gate.
Okay.
So they're asking for a 90-day extension, which staff is recommending.
Any questions on that? All right, this time I'll make a motion that we have.
Just a
What?
take two. Please.
Yes, okay. Okay, under seeker, this is a type 2 action. So no significant impact on the environment and no further review of the board is required at this time. Thank you. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve the 90-day extension to item number 13. And that's a second on that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
So with the board's indulgence, I'd just like to give you a little update if I can on where we are on that project.
Okay,
So the housing project commenced construction on June 25th of this year. We're approximately 10% complete at the end of August. The foundation for the senior building, which is the closest building to the Golden Hill Nursing Facility, is complete, and they're starting on the vertical construction shortly. The foundation for the mid-rise building, which is adjacent overlook Route 32, will be completed by the end of September. The work on the community building, which is on the front of the site, will commence in September as well, and they remain on track for a completion of March 2026. All right. On the other issue, the other requirement was the county had to install a signal at the intersection of Route 32 and Golden Hill Drive. That signal has gone through various design approvals from the city, working with the city. We intend, as of right now, on the city's recommendation of eliminating the right turn lane on Route 32 into the site. It provides us some additional efforts with respect to getting the signal, even because of the amount of overhead utilities that are present on Route 32. And that design should be completed. We're now looking to see whether or not, depending on grant sources, we have to do a NEPA analysis as compared to a simple seeker analysis. There may be federal funds that may be made available for this project. We anticipate that we can reach the March 26th deadline to have that signal up in operation prior to a CO being issued for the buildings on respect to the project.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Number 6.
All right, item number 6 is 189 O'Leal Street. Special permit renewal for residential care / assisted living facility. Section block and lot is 48.318-6-22, seeker determination in section zone T4 and Ward 5. Family of Woodstock is the applicant owner. Let the record show that Michael Berg is present. Welcome, sir.
Hello, everybody.
Historically, when you come here, we always ask, has there been any changes here? And the answer is always been.
Well, this time I have some news for you because we had a fire. What happened was that one of the outlets was lower on the wall than it was old, and it was built into the molding. And it happened to align with the metal frame of a bed and the piece of sheet that was there. It smoldered. We were very lucky because we could have lost the building, and the fire department was quick, and other than breaking 3 doors to get in, they really helped us. And I have to acknowledge that the city building department was terrific to us because it could have been months that we were closed, and we have 6 kids that lived there. And so we pushed very hard. Our staff started to do renovations immediately, and we had a CFO. We're done.
And nothing popping up in police reports or anything like that?
I will share with you that we're very proud of the fact that a lot of kids that are in that program are going to college,
Right.
which is unheard of. And we had two of the residents from Midtown Kingston went off to live in colleges last year.
You hit it out of the park, then, you know, when you hear stories like that.
Well, we're so proud of it, and we had the federal contract manager say to our program director, "Your numbers for education are very unusual." So.
Very good. Hats off to you, Michael, for that.
So there is a registration with the city clerk requirement under the new codes. So that will be one condition. That's actually in section 277 of the administrative code. It's not in the actual form-based code, but it's in the administrative code. So that will be something new that you're gonna have to do with them.
So we meet with the city clerk?
With the city clerk, yes, okay? And so this will continue to be a special use permit, so there will be a term required. But there will also be a requirement, just take a look at the new section for 521. E, to look at what, transitional shelter housing, what the requirements are there. So we'll put them into the
We're
decision.
licensed already, so
Yeah, so, okay, so we'll just work with you to make sure that,
Yeah.
they're a little bit different than the old code. We just want to make sure that we're following through with the new requirements, okay?
we'll of course work with you.
Okay.
So in our notes here, we see that staff has recommended a 3-year renewal, and to have that come due next in August of 2027, which is, we have off that month, those Augusts of every summer. So this is the time of the year that staff likes to handle the administrative renewals, right?
Under the new code, when I was looking at you like, what are you talking about? So under the new code, the special use permits, if there are no changes to the special use permit and there are no outstanding issues, you don't come back to the planning board, you just come back to the office. We do it administratively. We do a
Okay.
review that way, okay? That's why we chose the month of August, because the planning board does not typically meet during that month. And that will allow staff to basically handle all of these renewals in that month. Okay?
That's fine.
I know you'd rather come here at night.
Well, I'm kind of see you, but I have to say that I expect to retire. Based on what Dennis just said, if they are timely and they complete construction by March of 26, I'll retire by July of 26.
Okay.
We're doing we're not only providing 48 units of permanent supportive housing in part of that, but we're also gonna do a first and second shift daycare center in the Golden Hill Community Center. And so, those are big projects and I want to see them.
Well, something else is gonna come up in your life here, Michael, and you're gonna be like, I can't go yet. Isn't that how it's been going for you though?
Well, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been very successful and we're helping a ton.
And we've always enjoyed the relationship that you have with this board, so.
Yes, I have as well, and I'm disappointed that I'm not gonna come to see you, maybe I'll come to sit in. See how you work.
Yep. So, anyway, good job, Michael, good job.
Thank you.
All right, so other questions from the board? All right.
We are on paper 51% owner of Golden Hills.
Yep.
We will get 2% of the take.
Nice.
But we also were the primary reason that a lot of the money came to the project, because we got an award through Ulster Savings Bank of $1.6 million from the New York Federal Home Loan Bank, and we got $10 million from the Mid-Hudson Economic Development Project, not because of the housing, but because of the daycare center. So we've made a contribution, and we've also got $15 million from HHAP, which is the funding source that has funded 4 of our shelters.
Nice.
So we're pleased with our role.
Very good. All right, so, God, I keep forgetting that. Been a big right? All right, under seeker, this is a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required for that. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 4 for a period of 3 years with the next renewal scheduled for August of 2027. And that renewal will be handled administratively. And anything, all original conditions carried forward?
And licensing with the city code under 277 and the administrative code in conformance with 405.21E.
What she said. All right, so that is a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Chuck Delaco. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, sir.
See you.
Just rep it out right now. All right, item number 7 is 105-107 Henry Street, a special permit renewal for multidisciplinary art center with gallery space exhibition and educational space and administrative offices. Section block and lot is 56.108-4-27, secret determination, Transect T4N, Ward 4. Alan Bayer is the architect / applicant, and Transarc is the owner. Let the record show that Alan Bayer is here. How are you?
Good, are you?
Good, good to see you. How are things there?
Great.
Yeah? You can still think back to the days where it was like, you know, those, where we were wondering if those are gonna get off the ground, but you guys had, the vision was always there, and we're, you know, I know, we had Greer, you guys would come back, and it came to be, so I'm glad that we're at that point, so.
We're glad too.
Yeah.
We appreciate your support.
Any changes at all? What's going on there?
Not really. I mean, we had our inspection from the department. There are a few things we have to take care of, nothing serious. And it's all in the queue right now. We're just waiting in the wings.
Is that the annual inspections for the elevator and the fire alarm system?
Elevator, fire alarm system, and
Knox box.
Knox spots, which
Okay.
is
And
in
then
order.
the issue of the railing, which I believe
I
is
think that's
being
been
discussed with the building department about whether or not it would be
It's
required.
not a requirement. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
that was determined a year ago.
So since we.
Is that an interior railing?
No, it's an exterior porch rail.
Okay.
But since we spoke, Alan, do you want to just talk about, I mean, I know we got a copy of the report from building safety,
Right.
identifying what the issues were after the inspection. But then you have done some outreach to get those in the works, the inspections, so.
Yeah, all three are in the works, the elevator, the fire alarm system, the Knox box has been ordered. And it's my understanding that the fourth item is dropped off the list. It never was on the list, it's just that Joe and Steve needed more than just one conversation about that. I do have actually in writing a year ago where Steve waived the requirement for the railing.
Okay.
Because we're under 3,000 square feet with a historic structure, and it's all spelled out in chapter 12.
Right.
Existing.
Okay. Do you have a sense of when the elevator inspection will get done? We'll start with that one first.
It's probably in the next few days. I don't know the exact
Okay.
moment, but it was an oversight. We assumed that the service contracts did these things automatically. Well, they don't.
It's not an uncommon occurrence, I can
Right.
tell you that.
Yeah,
Those inspections.
So we're going through a little bit of startup, understanding the nuances here. And so now that, we've reached out to both entities and they assure us that all.
So you think within 30 days?
Oh, I'm sure.
Both should
Oh,
be
yeah.
completed and done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we
Make
were
that a
promised,
condition, right?
yeah,
Satisfactory.
we were promised the fire alarm this
How long does
week.
it take for an box typically? They've ordered it.
You ordered it in 2 weeks, maybe it gets, if that.
Okay. All right, so that would be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ordered it and then they said, oh, we have to review your tax exempt certificate. I don't know why, but, yeah, so, and I think they actually do an outreach to the Kingston Fire Department to confirm that everything is.
Yeah.
They have to authorize it, the fire department does, the fire chief.
Yeah,
Or his
exactly. But I've already called the fire department and said, what are our options? And they're very few, and we chose one of them. It was pretty simple.
Okay.
Okay. Right, you were going over there talking.
So staff is recommending a longer term for when they come back for the renewal. It's 5 years is good, I mean, you said, is that,
Yeah, unless there's
That
some,
would be-
unless there's some issue with change of use or ownership for
and everybody's good with that, Ford?
the renewal in August.
August of 2029, is that? because of the same situation that the last applicant had to, so, okay.
The other conditions of the building department satisfied within 30 days.
Yes. All right, so, under seeker, this is a type 2 action. So no further review of the board is required for that. So at this time, any other questions from the board? Good. All right. This time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 5 for a period of 5 years with the next renewal to occur in August of 2029. And conditions would be the installation of a Knox box and to meet the outstanding violations as illustrated by building safety and all original conditions carried forward, correct? That sound good?
Yeah.
All right. That is a motion. Do I have a second on that? Second by Andrew. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, sir. Seeing you.
We appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
With, okay, now we're moving into new business. Item number 6 is 7 dash.
Or no, 8,
Yeah.
item number 8.
8. I'm not gonna look up my old agenda here, so. Item number 8 is 7-13 Gerald Street. Site plan to construct a 4-unit row house, section block and lot is 56.35-7-14.210. Secret determination, transect zone T4N, Ward 7, Travis Myers, the applicant owner.
Hello, everybody, how you doing? I don't know where you want to start, but I'm very happy to say that our architect's engineer hooked up with the town engineer, John, and they are in agreement on almost everything. And when I say almost everything, they're in agreement with everything, with the exception of a couple of things I'd like to point out with you that are maybes, because they're working out a couple of elevations. Do we have the picture of that? Cool. The only differences that you'll see, or that may occur, is we may flip these stairs going in the direction to run down this way. And that has to do with having less stairs, but also if we flip this one and possibly break the roof here, similar to this, but not quite as high, okay? And this again is coming from John. It will ease, I don't know what word I want to use, the stress of going up the stairs. In other words, there will be less stairs because it will meet the hill that's coming down, if that makes sense, if I'm explaining it properly. So visually, that's all we'll have. If you remember the last time we came, it was going to be a larger building. And we're going to knock one off. We decided to knock 2 off because it does make, it takes these units, I don't know, they're almost going to be, I think it'd be over 1,200 square feet a piece now, which is very nice for a 2-bedroom. We also, I'm happy to say, get the 3 windows going across. So we have that much more light. So I think as far as a place to live, it's much, much nicer. Then also something that was not required, but I liked is, you want to go to the
Yes.
where the parking is?
Site plan or?
Yeah. But basically, it's the same thing that we looked at before. It's just smaller, well, smaller width-wise, but much larger home-wise. We now have parking for 4 cars, which we don't have to have as per code. The tenants will like it better, and I don't see why the city wouldn't love it better, because it makes sense. The one thing that's not on here that should be, and is a question, but I don't know why it is, it's just unfortunate didn't make the drawing, is this apron. What we'd like to do is bring it up, a concrete apron up to here, because it should be 15 feet. You see where that little arrow is? Right there, okay? Now, all of this right here, which there was another gentleman here before who's not here today. I don't know if he's regularly here or how it works for you guys, but he had a concern about how much water can go through the ground, all right? And that's why we wanted to do gravel, right? But what we are going to do to make sure that everybody's happy, and I know that John, and again, the engineer from the architect's office, has decided all of this is now spaced out, scheduled out to be as if it were paved. That way, there's no problems as if it gets paved in the future, if the gravel doesn't work for whatever reason, there is plenty of room and drainage for everything. Our intentions, again, according to this fellow, it's not here, he had a question about the drainage in the driveway. Okay, so we opted to go with the gravel. But either way, as per your engineer, John, he wanted it to be measured out so that in the event it ever is paved, it's not paved and then we're going against our original plans, if that makes sense.
So are you putting dry wells in there? Is that-
Yes,
Okay.
yes. What am I supposed to say?
And how many of them are going in?
There will be provided an infiltrator dry well system on site to the extent practical and tie in new impervious into DNS talked to engineer will connect to city storm overflows from on-site system, considering that practical.
There's an underground, basically, where the green area is, there's gonna be an underground,
There's gonna be one that's gonna be back here.
In the front?
installed, no,
Going
in that back area.
Along that property line? You said the green area. Oh.
Yeah.
It's in this neighborhood here. Well, the green area being all of the back.
But there's an underground, stormwater collection system being put in that rear corner, right? That's the idea right now that John is reviewing with his engineer. And then that will be the area where all the drainage is directed and then dissipated in a manner that the surrounding earth can handle it.
Okay. So he's still in the process of reviewing that, and we haven't got a
So
sign
that would be a
off.
condition of.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, from what I understand, it was told this Thursday, they are in agreement with how the project will be laid out. It's a matter of their exact specifications of where things will go.
Okay,
So, but John seemed to be pretty happy with it overall.
okay. And then since it's gonna be gravel, I mean, there's a board policy if you're plowing it up in the winter, it's gotta be.
Yes, there is,
back out. It's
there
gotta break
is,
back out.
you can see here, all along here, there's a concrete curb that goes around everything. So it will be contained within that.
All right, but I mean, when, the spring, when the snow's all gone, it's gotta be raked back.
Yes, absolutely. I actually have that in my home. I used to gravel at my
Okay.
house. And for the most part, it's not bad, except of course what it is, because there's times that you should not plow because it's simply too warm. But you have to get the snow out of there, and then you gotta fix it. And so that's my springtime torture, like maybe every other year, I gotta re-rake the driveway.
So one of the, couple things that we identified, the rear has a refuse area, off of that, the driveway area. It's 3.5 inches shy of what the code is. So move it 3.5 inches more off the property line,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and you're good.
That's all
There's
right.
no waiver then.
Okay, very good.
Okay?
Thank
Okay.
you. And I'll
Thank
write that
you.
down.
Okay.
And that would be 3.5 inches forward or 2 feet
3.5
left?
inches off the property line further, so it just has to come closer,
To the left on the map.
yeah. Okay?
I give you 3.5 both so that we don't have a problem. 3.5 inches.
36 inches make it 3 feet, it's 2.8 feet.
Get a different ruler. Either
So do that, you're golden. And then, the other, thing that we just need you to confirm is actually, or your design professional, just confirm the percentage of the green space on your total site. We believe
Yes.
that you meet the open space requirement, but we just need them to confirm that calculation.
Correct, correct.
Okay?
And for that, remember our very, not our first one, this is closer to the first one. But then, as you know,
Right,
Quartec wanted more
Okay.
units, and we ended up with 7, but we were able to fit it. But, so removing that, we should be golden now. Confirm green space.
The engineer,
Yes, sir.
has he been provided with a detailed cost breakdown for all of the site improvements? Do you know if that's happened? Because there's a threshold of $25,000 in improvements where the applicant, we may have them, secure a performance bond so that all of the improvements are, you know, and then when, you're familiar with performance bonds?
I'm not, well, I know I have to have a bond to build it, so it.
Yeah, well, this is, for all of the site improvements that you're doing, there's, you have to secure a performance bond so that, you know, in case you walk away from the project,
Right.
all of those improvements, you know, the city would, it would be in an account that the city could access and they would take care of completing those improvements.
Yeah, well, they might not complete
Well,
the improvements,
Exactly.
go in and we would at least stabilize the site. So say you initiated construction and then
Yeah.
just walked away,
If you had a whole.
it would give
yeah.
us the funds to go in and at least secure the site, stabilize it so that the erosion control and everything is covered, okay?
Now, you said you need something from the architect, or you just need me to come by and do your mind?
Now, the engineer would provide, you can provide to our office a detailed cost estimate of all the site.
Now I
Improvements.
there you go.
And we're gonna, I mean, it'll all be in a letter to you, so you'll have it,
Yep.
you'll know.
Well, now I understand completely, they just didn't
Okay.
click it first.
And where are they with the open space plans?
He's gonna submit that, calculation to us.
Okay. We're talking about the open space requirements, so you're gonna submit that calculation to,
Yes, sir.
to staff as well. All right, so the payment in lieu of parkland does not apply here anymore since it was reduced, okay? Anything else, John?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything.
What about the DEC letter?
With the seeker, in completing your seeker form using the EAF mapper, which is the state, assist, it identified that the property has and, is subject to an area of potential archaeological, resources, and also identified that there is, potential for a environment for the endangered species of I think it was the northern, what was it? Hang on a second. Wasn't the brown, the northern long-eared bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what is gonna have to happen for you is you'll just have to get a statement. Your engineer can probably just reach out to the regional office of the DEC.
Okay.
And I don't believe you're gonna need any specific special permits from them. This has happened to others. They may restrict, but you're not doing any real site clearance of
It's already
vegetation.
clean,
It's already, yeah, so it just comes up in it just comes up in their
Yeah.
system. So you just need a statement from them that says that you're exempt from the permitting requirement because of the conditions on the site.
So when we get to that portion of this,
That would be a condition of their seeker.
we're still listed as an unlisted action, but we
Yeah.
could approve it pending
Yes, that would be a
documentation with
condition of
DEC.
your,
Okay,
okay?
okay. Is it both the archaeological sensitive area
Yeah.
and the habitat for the bat?
Yeah.
Lots clear, so the bad issue is the issue.
Yeah, the lot's clear, and there were homes there before, it appears that something burned down, who knows how long ago, you know, but not anything cool, because it's, you know, bottles and trash from like the 1960s is what we found with the Detroit pistols, you know, so.
Anything else?
Mm-mm. Unless the board has any questions?
No blasting gonna happen there?
No,
Okay, good. All right, any other questions from the board? All right, so under seeker, I said this is an unlisted action.
you.
I do have before me a short environment, is this a short form? Yeah. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve it, pending
For the condition neg deck.
with a condition neg deck based on the archaeological sensitive area that was flagged, and also the flag regarding the habitat of the northern long-eared bat. That is a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Sage. All right, all in favor? Wayne Platt is a yes. Charles Belaco?
Yes.
Vince Archer?
Yes.
Sage Dukert?
Yes.
Andrew Harris?
Yes.
Okay, that is approved.
Thank you. I have all my notes here, but I assume you're gonna send this.
We got one more thing to
Email,
do.
I don't make any mistakes, right?
One more thing. Thank you. All right, you have a list of, you have a laundry list here, okay. All right, so at this time, Sue's gonna go over the conditions of approval. This time I'll make a motion that we approve item number 8, and Sue's gonna go over the conditions and board policies.
Okay, so the board policies would be 3, 3A, 4, 4A, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, 14, 16A, 18, 20, 23, and 24. And then additional conditions would be that they would modify the elevations per the city engineer's suggestion, changing the staircase orientation along the street, modify the access drive per discussions with the city engineer. There will be a final sign off with the city engineer on the stormwater system. They will move the refuse enclosure to meet the code. They provide open green space calculations to confirm code compliance. They provide detailed cost estimate of all the site improvements with performance bond.
That is a motion. Do we have a second on that motion? Second by Sage Newkirk. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys so
Good
very,
luck with
very
that
much.
project.
Thank you very much.
All right. All right, item number 9, we're going to be tabling. I'm going to
Just make
request.
a motion.
Do I need to read it the record though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Item number 9 is 100 Roundout Landing. Site plan to enclose a portion of the back deck of the existing restaurant and provide various exterior elements to facade. Section block and lot is 56.43-6-4, secret determination, transect zone SD-W/SD-WMU, heritage area, coastal zone. It's in the 100-year to 500-year floodplain. East Strand height overlay. Ward 8, Paul Savannah is the applicant, DAHG, it's HJ, Real Estate LLC is the owner. At the request of the applicant, table item number 9, I will make a motion that we do that at this time. Second by Andrew. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Do you want to do that one first, here,
Ron's not really. Yeah.
he's representing both.
Oh, so you want to do this one,
Ron's not coming.
All right, so we'll do those guys first.
We're doing
and we'll flip it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're gonna skip and come back here. We're just gonna go to item number 11. Is 134 Hunter Street. It's a site plan to convert storage space to a
Don't use those chairs.
Got it. Okay. We did that last time, I think. Did we?
to a studio apartment with an existing multifamily for a total of 9 units. Section block and lot is 56.50-5-1. 56.50-5-1. Secret determination, transect zone, T5N, Roundup Historic District, Heritage Area, and Coastal Zone. Ward 8, 134 Arena Hunter LLC is the applicant owner. Welcome, fellow. Can you state your names for the record, please?
Daryl Handler. Stephen Gurney Goldman.
I'm Ryan Cornelison from Sound Engineer.
Good. Okay. We're gonna have some visuals too,
You are.
appearing in the screen behind you.
Starting with the site plan. Just give you an idea.
Okay, so tell us about your newest venture here.
How you doing?
Good.
Everybody? We recently purchased this building from Repco. This particular unit was used as storage and office space for them. It's the first unit as you walk into the building. And underutilized. We would like to, we'll speak about it at large, but we'd like to convert this to a studio apartment.
Okay.
Add a bathroom.
All of it, just can you go back to the site plan, Kyle? So the access for this one is the staircase off of Hunter, but you do have access to units off of Ravine as well? And is
Yeah.
there access to units from the parking area
Yes,
already?
there's a unit there, I believe, I think that's about it, and the staircase that way.
Okay,
So that door from the parking lot on that side doesn't access this unit?
No, that's just one unit, it's a direct access to a unit.
below,
Below, correct.
okay.
Good.
So one of the things we had them do is just do a new layout. The original one was not compliant with building safety. We've submitted the new layout to building safety. We did not hear back yet from them. But know that they are also going to be asking for an actual floor plan of the whole, I guess, first floor. I don't know that they'll ask for more than that, but they will be asking for that as well when you go for building permit, okay?
Would you like me to point out what we changed on Friday to address their concerns or?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know.
What do
Yeah.
you want him to? He's asking. Do you want?
Yeah, do you want me to?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I talked with Jennifer on Friday. She was concerned about clearance space to access the shower and also meeting the required clearance for the kitchenette. So we ended up rotating the kitchenette, so we have 3 feet clear, and now we have these clearances. You need 22 by 24 for the shower and 21 by 21 in front of the toilet. And then I called out what's included in the kitchenette because there was some confusion on the sinks. So there's actually 2 sinks, one for the bathroom, one for the kitchenette.
so with this layout, how would the bed, like, because you have a closet now there in the corner, are you looking at like I'm just thinking dimensionally, where would the bed go?
Yeah, I think you could put a bed here or this way. It would certainly be a,
It's a 10-foot dimension. I'm just thinking where the door is, so you're saying the bed would go perpendicular here or parallel?
I think it would make the most sense to go this way
Go
because,
out that way?
yeah, a full-size bed, I think, is 4.5 wide. So that would allow a clear path this way.
So that mean the door wouldn't hit it, right, coming in?
No, yeah.
Okay.
It's tight.
Murphy bed.
That meets code.
They're cool now.
Yeah, well, building department hasn't gotten back to us, but we can presume that it is.
Okay.
Insurance commercial with Murphy tub. Pour the water on.
What are the what is the code say about size of like a studio requirement? Like,
120 square feet.
Yeah,
of the total space?
There has to be one room that's 120 square feet.
this would make a 9th unit. What's the other breakdown of the units in the building, do you know?
Studios one.
They're all studios?
No, studios ones and twos.
Okay,
I think it's 1 2-bedroom.
okay.
Do you have an idea of what the square footage of the other units are in the building?
Not
Like
that
a general,
Yeah, I don't either, but they're pretty spacious, you know, the other ones. Yeah,
Fully occupied?
yep.
So when did you acquire this building?
We closed end of May,
Yeah.
from Repco. We've been working really, really well with them and they, wanted some liquidity for their programming and so we worked with them to, purchase this building and building Saugerties here, so we can.
Okay. So being the 9th unit, this would have to be an affordable unit.
Yep,
Okay, so you're aware of that. It is subject to the rec fee because it's the 9th unit. And then the other thing, we just noticed that on site, like the refuse enclosure, the front gates or doors are missing on it. So things like that, we noted in our comments that will need to be upgraded. I don't know if you have any other site improvements that you were thinking about on the site at all, or if anything's needed.
The building's, I mean, you saw it, the building's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
We don't want to change the nature of like the tenant experience, but I think you mentioned it, I think there was a recommendation of a bike rack, we have to do that as well.
And there's a small typo in the notes. It's supposed to be 3,000 per unit, not 300 per unit.
Oh, okay.
I didn't, just, yeah, that's a question.
Okay.
small typo.
Yeah.
Anything else? We got lighting? Did they confirm you got the lighting on site? Is there?
There is lighting, it appears adequate right now. I know there's a light over at every entrance door.
How many units are accessed by the doorway that this is accessed by? So you go in off a Hunter, are there?
I think it's 2.
One
The
downstairs.
ones that
one
are
up.
upstairs, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Does this have anything to do with, like, if adding this, does that change anything with like fire safety? Like, if there were to be an emergency, like an additional resident or tenant.
I mean,
Get out.
they will be subject to the annual inspections by the fire department, but it doesn't, if you're asking like,
The infrastructure is there, they don't have to change anything. It's right now.
no, I mean, they are subject to like the carbon monoxide detector, smoke detector regulations within the unit, like any other multi-family would be.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't require a fire escape or anything of that nature because it's on the first floor.
Open space.
No, we didn't talk about that. Under the new code, there's the open space requirement. We took a look at the site, there's a small green space along Hunter Street, looks like it's being used, got a table.
Yeah, we put a
maybe,
table out there.
whatever. There's a couple small patios along the back side of the building. So we will need you to complete the calculation of the open space on the site. What may happen is you might end up having to convert 1 or 2 parking spaces potentially to meet the new open space requirement. Or request a waiver. Okay, we did go by there, look at the site. Cars are utilizing that parking area, it's pretty full, it seemed pretty full to us midday. I don't know, I'm presuming they're all tenants and not, there's no active commercial space within the building.
Correct, yeah, hopefully all towns.
Yeah, but not even like nearby, there's no real.
Okay.
Space nearby.
Okay. We will also stipulate, yeah, I know you said you'd add a bike rack to the outside, but no internal, electric bike charging.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Can with the possibility of needing a waiver for the open space, can we make that a condition of approval? Is that part okay?
Yeah.
So earlier today, I looked at the open space existing area. The area in front on the Hunter Street side that we're looking at here on the right is 570 square feet. So we're about 330 square feet shy of the mark. Over on the right, if you can pull up the site plan. Or just skip to the left.
Sorry, right here. We own the land back here as well for the survey. We could relocate.
Past the fence line?
Correct. We could push the fence back. So
Okay.
you go to the site.
Okay.
So we could see that this is this. So we
Basically
could
capture that triangle.
and we could push this back and create more green
What's
space.
what's the terrain, like, does it go steeply down? I mean, it looks
No,
like.
it goes a little. It's a little up.
Okay,
Not
all
a-
right,
not a-
okay, that might be, okay, so then you might be able to,
Yeah.
Yeah, that should
Okay.
get us to the 10%.
okay, so
I mean,
just
does it
do that
require the fence
calculation.
being moved, or
Huh?
can that, does it require the fence being moved, or can it just count without them having moved the fence?
To make it usable,
Okay.
yeah.
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 Okay. Anything else? Your end?
Huh?
Anything else on your end?
No, I think I'm good, I'm just going through these. 6, 7.
So who needs the submission of the full floor plan? What needs that?
Building safety, they've indicated that to us. And when you do that for the building, if you could just get that to us for our record, so that we have an accurate floor plan, that would be great.
Are you good with just outbound units?
I believe so, yeah, I don't know that they're gonna need the fixture locations or anything, but just defining roofers. Okay.
You probably want to check with them though.
Yeah.
before you do it. You don't want to go back in.
Is there, a Knox box on the building now, do you know?
Don't know.
Okay,
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
all right, we're gonna put that in as a requirement.
I want to say it is. I want to guess. that
I
it
would
is.
think that there is, with knowing Rupco.
Yeah, they work
I'm
with the type shit.
gonna guess, but yeah,
We can confirm.
that's easy enough to confirm.
Yeah.
Any questions, other questions from the board? Okay, under seeker, this is an unlisted action, so we have to make a determination of environmental significance. I have before me a short environmental assessment form that staff has indicated is in order. This time I'll make a motion that we approve it. Do I have a second? second by Chuck Delaco. All in favor, Wayne Platt is a yes. Charles Delaco?
Yes.
Vince Archer?
Yes.
Sage Newkirk?
Yes.
Andrew Harris?
Yes.
Okay, that is approved. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 11. Sue's got the list of conditions and board policies.
Okay. So the policies would be 4A, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16A, 17, 17A, 18, 20, 21, 23, and 24. And the other conditions would be that the Building Safety Division will confirm the plan suitability. They will repair the refuse enclosure. They will add a bike rack. There will be no internal e-bike charging. Parks and Rec fee will be assessed at $3,000 for the one unit. That one additional unit will be an affordable unit with the deed restriction per the City Housing Department. They will provide an open space calculation and that will conform to code and the relocation of the fence, which will be done through staff.
Okay. That's a motion? Yes. Payment in lieu of park. Is that on there? Did you miss that?
Yeah, for $3,000.
Okay. So that's a motion. Do I have a second on that? Vince Archer with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
See you
Nice to
next
see
week.
everyone.
Yeah. See you next week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, number 10.
Thank you, everybody. See everybody.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. I'm sorry about that. Item number 10 is 436 Broadway. It's a site plan to convert a single-family residence with ground floor commercial to a 5-family residence. Section block of lot is 56.26-6-36. Secret determination, transect zone T5MS, Ward 9. Ron Faya? Okay. As the applicant, 10th Street Enterprises LLC is the owner. And state your name for the record again, please.
Ryan Cornelison.
Okay. All right, everybody familiar with this building? Just down the hill. Yeah. All right, so fire away.
Yeah, so like you said, there used to be a commercial space down here. Oh my goodness, breaking stuff. And residents above. And we're hoping to turn it into a 5-unit building. We are proposing that the lower unit off of Broadway be our accessible unit to meet that requirement. And reading through the notes, I know that the main concern was having access off of the front street. Our plan currently proposes all the other units being accessed from the driveway on the rear side.
Okay.
Right, so the code, under the code, all the residential units have to be accessed from the front street. And the design had access for the upper 2 units with the rear deck and staircase. That can still happen as a secondary means of ingress and egress, but internally they need to have access from the front. So the doorway that you saw in the original photo of the building will become the door for all of the units, with the exception of that one lower handicap unit, which has a separate doorway.
Okay, that's the bottom left, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
You go up one sheet. No problem. Yeah, so this is the lowest level here on the left. This door being accessed off Broadway.
So Ryan, you're gonna be, as part of this project, you're demolishing that small garage, which is in extremely poor shape. Admittedly, I'll even say that. And you're gonna replace that with a two-car garage and a second story. Now, what is the purpose of the second story? Because you wouldn't be able to put a unit there.
Right, the lower level of the garage would be parking.
Okay.
And there would be a slop sink in there. And then the second level of the garage is just property maintenance, storage, paint.
Just storage for the tenants? Or
No.
for
just
the
for-
owner, just to
yeah, for the
have
owner.
storage space?
Yep.
Okay.
I think you're gonna be able to add it along Broadway.
Yep.
Okay.
I dug out a picture, an older picture, at one point at front, when it was, I think, more residential, and only one commercial space in the building, it had a pretty good hefty, landscape in front of it. It was nice.
Yeah,
It's too bad.
yeah, Ron is completely open to bringing it back. He wants to.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, it was pretty nice. And if it's gonna be all residential, you know, having more, I think, of a landscape area out front, make it more attractive.
Right.
Particularly if that's gonna be your prime entry.
And how many cars you gonna be able to put on property?
There should be 2 in the garage and then I think an additional 2 spots.
Okay. And your refuse is gonna be stored in the garage too?
There's gonna be a storage space for it underneath the stairs to the left of the garage.
Check that with the building department, because if the stairs are constructed with wood, there might be limitations on the storage of the refuse beneath the staircase.
Okay.
All right?
And I also see a note on here, there might be additional totes required for this, right? There's gonna be probably additional totes, right, so for.
Yeah,
You only
maybe-
get one per building, right?
Yeah, each property gets one brown. So you will
So-
probably end up paying for additional straight refuse. And with this location, I'm just not quite sure where, they would have to be pulled out to, because I know even you've got the access off to the circular drive in front of, that runs around City Hall, but I don't believe that the pickup will be there. The pickup will probably be down at Broadway, so you'll have to, whoever is gonna have to pull them out all the way down, so that they're aware of that. The other option is to get private pickup.
And the only way to get it down is to come around by Flannery Lane here and come
Yeah.
down, that's the way.
Yeah.
Does city pick up on the roadway pickup?
Mm-hmm.
And your totes?
Yep.
Well, call them up Broadway, they don't, they just pick up whatever's there, but not just the total.
Yeah.
They roll it out.
Yep.
The bicycle lane. It's something.
So you'd like to have a lighting plan, right, for,
Yeah.
can you submit one for us?
Yeah, we have a landscape and lighting plan on here. Are you looking for, like the actual photometric plan? What exactly are you looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
And then also, just to read the record, the additional unit is gonna, well, the 5 units, first 4 being exempt from parks and, or they payment in lieu of parkland, so there'll be a $3,000 fee. Well, are we gonna refer that to RAC, or is that?
I did send it.
We did.
A letter back,
So
but I
this-
believe it was the full. Sorry, that's
That's recreation and park Okay.
Just realizing we don't show, air conditioning units on here, I imagine there will be some.
Yeah, I think everything's gonna be mini splits.
That lower apartment is already ADA accessible?
Yeah, the masonry opening will handle an ADA compliant door. And then the bathroom in there, we're rearranging to meet all the clearances.
Okay.
What is the thought for handicap parking?
So,
Because above 4, you would have to show a handicap parking space.
right, our first plan, was at the American Legion, not the parking lot, but on the street, on West O'Reilly Street, there's 3 handicap spaces. That were less than, I think they were 500 feet away.
So there is one there?
Yeah, there's 3.
Okay,
on the street.
on West O'Reilly.
Yep,
Okay,
I drove past it as well.
That's all the way up in front of the building there. That's a long walk for handicap.
Well,
what's the distance? Yeah.
I'm not sure what the
Okay.
distance is. I think we just did this on, another project. And someone mentioned a quarter mile as the distance, so here we're closer than that.
On West O'Reilly Street, the parking starts in front of the Legion building. That's a handicap park.
Okay,
And then it's going up as far.
right.
So you've got the whole length of that parking lot, that there's no street parking.
Right.
So that's that's a lot of.
Okay, we'll check the.
Does that fit within the parameters of
It possibly could.
acceptable distance?
I don't know, I have to measure it.
The only problem there, I mean, you can't, when you're on the street, anybody with.
Well, that's anywhere.
But in any event, they're gonna need to show where the handicap spot is.
We'll confirm the parking space, and if it's not, then they're gonna have to petition the council for something closer. Unless there is, I don't think there's any around the corner on East O'Reilly.
Yeah, I don't think there's.
I don't think there's any there. I know there's parking meters, but I don't think any of them are defined as handicap.
There's no handicap right in front of City Hall.
No. No, handicap for City Hall is all out the back side.
Can you explain these waivers that the,
Well, I think the one waiver that we were looking for would be the access, but they're going to reconfigure the interior, so that.
it wasn't that, it was
Oh, those are waivers that they have requested on the submissions form. If you recall, the site plan review has specific requirements for submissions, and they requested waivers from these items to be submitted. We don't see a.
and that's not an action we have to take to accept their.
Well, the one question was that they requested a waiver on the stormwater system. But we believe that they still need to look at that with the city engineer, so that would not be a waiver.
Okay.
Still think that.
And he may sign off on it.
Correct.
Then that'll be a condition.
Right.
Okay, right.
Yeah, what we're proposing on here is strictly to capture the deck and the roof.
Right, so he just needs to look at that and sign off.
And then on the layout, I guess I just wanted to kind of talk about, you said we're gonna redo the building. I'm not sure that that's gonna work so well, because if.
Well, to have all of the occupants be able to dump out onto Broadway?
Yeah.
Then that's a required major waiver, so that would have to come back to the board.
Okay.
Okay, because that would be yeah.
Is that gonna require some pretty expensive interior
Yeah.
It must be accessed now by that front, right?
The
second
one
floor?
is.
But how does the second floor access
It's just an
now?
interior staircase.
Right, but you go in through the front door and then they use an interior staircase, correct?
But it's one, right now it's one unit, downstairs and upstairs. So it's
Okay,
commercial and one unit.
okay,
So if we had to have a common entryway with a hallway and a staircase, and then another one of those on the upper floor, we would, lose a unit. We'd have to lose a unit to meet all of our clearances.
so those are the proposed, is there an existing floor plan?
Yep, one sheet up, I believe. So this is existing, this is a door. And that's the
Okay.
only door on the front.
So then you go in and then you go up that stairs
Yep,
to the second floor.
yep.
So that could not stay as a internal staircase?
Well, what I was saying is to have two separate entrances, if you go back to the next sheet. Because of our minimum bathroom square footage and kitchen, we would have to lose a unit on one floor to make that work.
Well, wouldn't they just be smaller units? I mean, a minute ago, we had a 120 square foot apartment. Not that I'm condoning that, but
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not what Ron is hoping to achieve as far as the floor plan layouts. We would also be really
First floor,
tearing apart the
so you're
structural
proposing that the
components of the
first
building.
floor, you're gonna make each unit on the first floor now accessible by that front door, right?
Down here.
Well, the lower unit already has a separate front door entrance.
Yep.
Okay, so then the first floor, above that lower unit, has two units, correct?
Yep. One
So
here.
both of those would be accessed through the front door, accessible from the front door.
Just one.
Yeah, I think we could do one, we could do this one, and we
Why
could,
couldn't you do two? You just build an interior, I mean, that's, I guess that's the code is written and the intent is to make everything forward facing and provide, pedestrian, streetscape, so that it's promoting walkability and street frontage. And so we're taking a building that has floors that currently have access from the front door, and you're reconfiguring the interior, but you're taking away that access. So that, I think, I'm not seeing the reasoning for the waiver if it exists now.
well, I think another reason would be that the current access on the back is pre-existing. So we were trying to,
Right, well, those doors that are pre-existing are one thing, and they can be, continued. But again, the code says that access should be from a street frontage.
Even if you're adding just one unit, I mean, that would trigger the whole building having to dump out.
Well, they're redoing the whole structure, it's not 5 units now. It's 1 unit
Oh.
with a work commercial space.
I certainly understand the intent of the code, but it doesn't seem to read that says every single unit needs the access to the front. So I think that the right side unit, we could definitely continue using that existing door.
Well, I mean, the code is pretty clear that it says all units accessible from the street. When you have a corner building, you can have an access from a corner, but you're not providing that. So you're providing it from an on-site parking driveway area. And that is not allowed under the code.
So if he he is on a corner, but the other entrance would have to be where that low window is right there.
Yeah, I mean, you
There would
could
have to
do
be a
that,
Physical doorway. There would have to be a doorway. right?
I don't know that that would be.
I'm not saying, I'm not advocating that, I'm just saying there would need to be a physical door, not something coming off the back of the driveway and get out of that particular
You
street.
know, I'm looking, I mean, I just look at the existing floor plan and I see that centrally located staircase and, you know, I basically look at that as being refurbished and made to an interior stair compliant with building code and then having that as an access. You can still have, you know, you can still add that secondary access to the rear, that's fine, but, you know, the code does have that one requirement.
If you did apply for a major waiver, how would that? would
You'd
it
have
meet
to
the
have
criteria?
reasoning why you can't conform to the code, very similar to a variance. But it goes to the, it would have to come back to this board, and the board would make the decision.
You think that's what your client would want to do, is pursue a major waiver?
Well, I think,
I mean, I'm not saying we're not inclined to approve it, I'm just, we don't, you know, we would need to see, you know, it would be at another meeting, you know?
yeah, I think he would be interested in that, particularly because I think we would be losing a unit. Because if we kept that stair, could you go back to the existing plan for just a second? The existing stair does not meet code, so to have that come in, it would be a longer staircase, because we're now leaving the residential code and entering the building code, so our rise and run are different. So back on the proposed section, where we have our two bathrooms stacked in the rear, we pretty much couldn't have anything there. Which means like 6 feet out of the building.
And there's no way to reconfigure everything in there to keep it at 5, is that the?
The other thing we're trying to do is maintain the load paths and the main structural items. So we don't want
Yeah.
to have a complete empty shell in there.
I mean, I haven't been in that building, but there are probably some details you want to keep intact right there. Is that part of the whole, is that what you're talking about too?
Yeah, yeah, and go down the tree.
Have you consulted an architect at all about the design options potentially, maybe?
No, we haven't, but
Okay.
we're kind of acting as architect here. Yeah, again, it's a unique site, so we're trying to kind of maintain the flow of things. I think it would be fairly easy to get that first floor unit on the right to work.
To empty out onto that,
Yeah.
onto Flowery Lane, Broadway, okay.
But that would just be getting one instead of two.
Is this something you want to discuss with your client then before, because if that's the case, we're gonna have to go to a meeting to.
For the waiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we can make a case due to the pre-existing nature of this building. Plus, we're trying to maximize the unit.
Is that something we should discuss now rather than telling them to come back for a major waiver if we're leaning towards just denying the major waiver?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Does that have to be advertised? Is that something that we?
For a waiver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean.
Yeah, we'd have to look at it like, because it's another action, it would be like saying you needed a subdivision or something, but, I guess
Yeah, we got a
I'm
public
inclined to,
hearing.
you know, there's work to be done to document why it can't be, and I think that's gonna really take an architect to do that. Yes, or, you know, to show why it can't be internally reconfigured design-wise to provide for the access.
Yeah, again, if you take the footprint of this building, it can likely be done. but we're trying to make this project possible financially. Not,
Yeah.
not take out some of the main load bearing elements and keep certain things in place, so
Okay,
that was our approach.
all right.
Plus, it's such a kind of a unique site with the hill and the road in the back, with the existing doors in the back, so that's how we got here.
All right, so if you want to go back to your, we can table this tonight and, you want to discuss this with your client, we'll be able to come back next month and,
Yeah, I think there's not really another option, because the other option would be we would need the new floor plan anyway, right? That would show all of the units emptying onto the front. Right?
yeah.
So for a waiver request, we get everything to you guys before the next meeting, and then at that meeting, it's a review and you set a public hearing, so we're 2 more?
No,
Oh, okay.
we can have a public hearing and,
It doesn't require a public hearing.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, just public.
No,
so we can take care of it in one meeting.
Okay.
All right?
and then, you can also work on maybe some of the other items we talked about, like the lighting, and get the engineer sign off, and get some of those things maybe also taken care of before the next meeting, and then that would, cut this down. We can check on the handicap parking space, issues, so those things can maybe be cut off the list of conditions also.
Okay, so it's the lighting, you want me to check about the
Yeah, the
garbage storage?
photometric plan, we talked about maybe beefing up a little bit of landscaping in the front along Broadway, confirming the handicap parking space in the distance. And also getting the city engineer to just kind of look at and approve your, stormwater. And then you just put a note on the plan that there won't be a residential use of the upper storage area above the garage. Okay.
And you might want to put the HVAC locations, because I realize we don't have those.
Do they exist right now? Those
No, I think
HVAC
you're.
the split units, or those splits?
You usually come with
Yeah.
one of those condensers outside.
For the parking space, what are you looking for?
I'll give building department a call, we'll look at the code, and then we'll just have to measure the distance of where the existing is.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I think we had that in the applications. 300 feet.
Okay, so we're tabling.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we table item number 10. You have a second on that? Second by Andrew Harris. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Look forward to seeing you next month.
Okay.
All right?
I had a question on the last application too, for the lighting, was there did you need anything on that?
For the,
When you were going through the, policies at the end, I know you said 4, which was lighting.
For Hunter Street.
For Hunter Street, sorry.
Some lighting details for that, or?
Nothing's changing
I don't think so, I think, you said that there's, I haven't looked at it at night to see if there's sufficient lighting, that would be the only question. Make sure that lighting is sufficient there, that would be the board policy 4 and 4A that deals with the lighting.
Okay.
So, you probably just want to confirm what fixtures are there and what levels they're illuminating at. I don't, do you guys have a light meter by any chance?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
No.
I don't know if John does or not, so.
Okay, and did it lay out somewhere what we're looking for there?
Yeah.
And,
And then with that, you can just do the revised plan with the fence being relocated. Once you do the calculation first, obviously, to make sure that that will resolve the issue. Okay.
Okay, yeah, and then for Broadway, I'll take another look at it. So either next week,
Yeah.
or next meeting, we'll have, a case for a waiver, or
Okay,
we'll see what we can do.
okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks. Good night.
Okay, so now we're
Bond
moving
release.
back to 12. And that is, the barrel factory.
Bond release, or bond reduction, is this, okay, bond reduction. Okay, item 12 is 104 Smith Avenue, 94 Cornell Street, and 35 Broad Avenue. It's a request.
Did you take these on this page? They have them. Okay.
Is that,
So there's a copy of the spreadsheet in your file.
is that request number 1?
It's request number 1.
Okay. For partial bond release in the amount of $253,714 from letter of credit, leaving a remaining balance of $471,941. Transect zone is T5F, Ward 5, section block of lot is 48.82-1-7.100, 7.200, and 7.300. Seeker determination, MHVBF Developer LLC is the owner.
So in your folders is a spreadsheet that shows the items that are incorporated into the bond, just detailed cost breakdown that made up the original bond. And it describes what they had requested and percentages. Then in the columns, the 3 last columns are the comments. Those are staff comments from us in planning after a site visit on the 13th. Whether or not we agree with them or disagree is kind of laid out there. Some of them we did agree with, and some of them we did not agree with. So we modified the amounts going across the board there. And we ended up with a bond reduction of $229,000, $864.50. So it's somewhat less than what they were requesting. We have sent this to them so that they can take a look at it. They didn't have any comment, they didn't disagree with it. We just do also need John's official sign off as the city engineer. He has it as well, but we haven't heard back from him. So my recommendation would be that if John agrees with what we have come up with at staff level, that we would reduce it by what staff came up with, and that would leave a bond balance of $495,790.50.
Any questions? Okay, at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve the bond release of $229,864.50 for item number 12, pending sign off from the city engineer concurring with this assessment. Andrew with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thanks for doing a little math on that, Bob. All right, so we have one more item. No, we have 2 items, right?
2.
All right, we're now to extensions. We did item number 13. Dennis Doyle already. Item 14 is 9-17 and 21 North Front Street. Request for extension of the site plan approval for Kingstonian Development. Section block of lots 48.80-1-25.100 and 48.80-1-26. Transect zone is T5MS. Secret determination, Kingstonian Development LLC is the applicant owner.
Okay, so we were here with the exception of Wayne and heard Mike Moriello at the beginning of the meeting, provide you with the little bit of background and the reasoning for their request. It is a 1-year extension request under the new code. This is new. Prior to the new code, it was limited to 2 years, and that was it. The new code allows for a further extension, subject to them providing evidence of extenuating circumstances and subject to a agreement and consent between the applicant, myself as the planning administrator, and our corporation counsel. So in your packets, you have a draft resolution.
I should have brought a bottle of water with me.
You have a draft resolution. The draft resolution also recognizes the original approval resolution of the planning board from October 17th of 2022. It recognizes the communication from the applicant dated August 14th of 2024, which outlined essentially what Mike was saying, all of the litigation that has gone on regarding this project. And that you had also, that was also sent to you earlier as well. And the third item, which I do not know if you have a copy of, but is a communication from Corporation Counsel as Exhibit C, is communication from Corporation Counsel to myself, recommending the 1 year. Both Matt and I have signed this letter. It'll become Exhibit C. And the resolution will ultimately, if authorized by the board, get signed by not only board members, but signed by Corporation Counsel, myself, and the applicant. So it'll be a multi.
Okay. Any
Do
questions?
you want to take a minute, maybe quickly read through the, or if you have any questions? Do you want to read it into the record?
Yes.
This is a type 2 action also, so that you are aware. It's recognized, not only it's recognized in the resolution.
All right, I have a resolution of the City of Kingston Planning Board ratifying, extending, and amending the final site development plan approval and final special use permit approval for the Kingstonian project at North Front Street and Wall Street, Kingston, New York. Whereas Kingstonian Development Group, LLC, or as the applicant, submitted an extension request letter dated August 14, 2024, requesting an extension of the October 17, 2022 site development plan approval and the special use permit approval for the Kingstonian project upon good cause shown therein and pursuant to section 405.26E, parens 1, parens E, City of Kingston zoning law. And whereas the satisfaction, extension, and amendment is to allow time to obtain a building permit and commence construction of the following improvements. A 420 vehicle parking garage where 277 spaces will be devoted to public parking. B is a 32-room boutique hotel. C, 143 units of apartments, 14 units for affordable housing. D is 9,000 square foot retail/restaurant space. E is a pedestrian plaza for public use. F is a walking bridge, and G is related project infrastructure and appurtenances. And that's a dictionary word or a crossword puzzle word for me. Whereas the ratification, extension, and amendment timeline is being requested for an initial 1 year period. And whereas this resolution is considered a ratification, extension, and amendment to the original approval set forth above and carries forward all original conditions and documentation as recited within the October 17, 2022 approval decision aforesaid. A copy of said October 17, 2022 approval decision is annexed hereto and made part hereof as Exhibit A. And whereas an extension of time for previous approvals is a type 2 action under seeker, section 6 NYCRR part 617.5C in parentheses 26, as it is a quote routine or continuing agency administration and management, not including new programs or major reordering of priorities that may affect the environment, unquote. And whereas the August 14th, 2024 extension request letter has been made of record before the planning board, a copy of said correspondence is annexed here too and made part hereof as Exhibit B. And whereas pursuant to section 405.26E in parentheses 1 in parentheses E of the City of Kingston zoning law, the City of Kingston Office of Corporation Counsel has submitted a letter acknowledging that the applicant has demonstrated that the delay was due to extenuating circumstances and consenting to an extension of time for an additional 2 years to October 17th, 2026, to be 1 year.
That should be 1 year. Sorry.
So that would be 1 year to October 17th of 2025. Okay. And a copy of said correspondence is annexed here too and is made part here of Exhibit C. And that letter reflects October 17th of 2025 in here, so that's good. Whereas the City of Kingston Planning Administrator has signed the Office of Corporation Counsel's letter agreeing and consenting to the extension, and whereas pursuant to section 405.26E, parentheses 1, parentheses E, the City of Kingston zoning law, the applicant, City of Kingston Planning Administrators, and the Kingston Corporation Council shall all execute this resolution following the affirmative vote of the planning board thereupon and owing to the extenuating circumstances set forth herein. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Kingston Planning Board as follows. Section 1, the Planning Board, after full consideration of the Kingstonian project, hereby grants the applicant's request for extension of a period of 1 year as consented to by the Office of Corporation Counsel and the Planning Administrator to expire on October 17, 2025. Section 2, nothing herein shall prohibit the applicant from appearing before the planning board prior to October 17, 2025. In the event of the applicant desires to further extension, the ratification, extension, and amendment set forth herein. Section 3, the planning board believes it is to be in the best interest of the public to set a firm date for the Kingstonian to obtain a building permit and commence construction, and hereby authorizes the ratification, extension, and amendment as herein stated, and for good cause shown. Section 4, this resolution amends the original October 17th, 2022 final approvals and all other original conditions noted within said approval resolution as carried forward by this instrument. Section 5, this approval by the planning board does not eliminate the need for the applicant to obtain the appropriate permits and approvals from other boards, commissions, departments, and relevant agencies. Section 6, as a condition subsequent to this approval, the City of Kingston Planning Board Administrator, the City of Kingston Corporation Council, and the applicant shall sign this resolution following the vote thereupon. Section 7, this resolution shall take effect immediately on the date written below, written. The votes of the planning board of the City of Kingston upon resolution being as follows. So, anybody have any questions on this? We made the correction to the date, 1 year. At this time, I will make a motion that we adopt this resolution. Do I have a second on that? Second by Charles Palaco. All in favor? Wayne Platt is a yes. Charles Palaco?
Yes.
Vince Archer?
Yes.
Sage Newkirk?
Yes.
Andrew Harris?
Yes.
This resolution is adopted. And Sue circulating the room with the name of the corrections made to it. This isn't the revised agenda, that's why I like going to different numbers here, you know? Donna sent it as a Word document, the revised one, and my iPad cannot get the document to go print to our printer, so. Yes. Okay. One last item is common council referral. It's item number 14, a zoning amendment to amend section 405.25L, Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission. On your agenda or staff notes, there's a link that everybody could click onto to see exactly what they're proposing language to be sent to the common council for consideration for the Landmarks Commission. So I guess basically to sum it up, the Landmarks Commission has said they did not have adequate time, I'm paraphrasing properly, adequate time to conduct a comprehensive review of the landmark section of the new code when it was being filtered through, the common council. So this additional language will.
It's not really, it's new language, it's specifically revising the administrative portion of the form-based code that deals with the Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission. It's updating it, it's removing redundancies or inaccurate references. The action will also include removing a portion of the administrative code that is no longer applicable. And it will bring some of the language into alignment with what is more generally recognized throughout the statewide historic system and nationally recognized language. So it's updating it to make it more current, make it more accurate, make it more user friendly.
Anybody have any questions on that? All right, staff recommends that this board endorse the new language, and I concur with staff. So at this time, I'll make a motion that the planning board endorse the new language as proposed, and to submit this to the common council as a recommendation to adopt the said amended language. Do I have a second on that? Second by Sage Newkirk. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. I think that's it, right? You have any- Hi, Getty, how are you? You told me you'd be here, but I'd like to see you. All right, Vince Archer has a motion to adjourn. He has a second on that. See, there's a motion, a second on that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Yeah, I have something for you too.